The Viaduan had once ruled this world. 500,000 years ago, Earth had been theirs, a colony on the edge of the cosmos, rich with resources and untouched by higher intelligence. But something had gone wrong. Their ancestors had fled in haste, abandoning the planet without explanation. No records remained of what had driven them away. Now, the Viaduan had returned. The massive warship Tirvas sliced through the atmosphere like a blade of fire, its dark hull absorbing the light of the unfamiliar sun. On the bridge, High Overseer HFY Tak stood in silence, his golden eyes fixed on the world below. This was not the Earth their ancestors had known. It was something else. Vast cities sprawled across the continents, their lights burning even in the daylight. Towering structures defied gravity, piercing the heavens with unnatural precision. There were no signs of Viaduan technology, no ruins of their past civilization. The land had been reshaped, remade into something alien. The control panels flickered as Ayla, the chief scientist, analyzed the data. Her iridescent skin shimmered under the dim glow, her fingers dancing across the interface. "High Overseer," she said, her voice tinged with unease, "our scans confirm advanced civilizations. But the species inhabiting the planet, they are not our own." HFY Tak frowned. "Then who rules this world?" Ayla hesitated. "They call themselves humans." The name meant nothing to him. The database had no record of such a species. A primitive race should not have been capable of reshaping an entire planet. And yet here they were. The ship's AI pulsed to life, its voice smooth and calculating. Analysis complete. Humans possess technology rivaling pre-collapse Viaduan advancements. Biological scans suggest extreme adaptability. Genetic markers indicate unknown evolutionary origins. Caution is advised. HFY Tak's grip on the console tightened. How did an unknown species rise so far in our absence? Ayla's expression darkened. "We should proceed carefully, Overseer. There is something unnatural about their development. This level of progress in only 500,000 years is impossible." A chime echoed through the bridge as the AI continued. One anomaly detected. A signal originating from Earth's surface. It matches Viaduan encryption, ancient but unmistakable. HFY Tak's pulse quickened. A remnant of their people? A buried secret from the past? "Prepare a landing team," he ordered. "We will uncover the truth ourselves." The Tirvas descended, its engines roaring as it approached the planet. But as the ship neared the surface, something felt wrong. The air was too still. The buildings, though advanced, gave off no signals of active surveillance. The humans below moved about their lives, seemingly unaware of the colossal vessel in their sky. Ayla whispered, "They're not reacting to us." HFY Tak's eyes narrowed. No panic. No fear. Not even curiosity. As if they had expected them. And then the message came. A single transmission beamed directly into their ship. "Welcome back, Viaduan. We've been waiting for you." HFY Tak felt his blood run cold. The humans knew, and that terrified him more than anything. The transmission hung in the air like a phantom. "Welcome back, Viaduan. We've been waiting for you." On the bridge of the Tirvas, silence thickened. High Overseer HFY Tak stared at the glowing message on the holographic display. It was impossible. No species should have known they were coming. Not unless. Ayla's fingers flew across the console. Source identified. A structure near the largest human city. Broadcasting on an ancient Viaduan frequency. HFY Tak turned to his officers. "Deploy a scouting party. We will meet these humans face to face." Ayla hesitated. "You should not go yourself, Overseer. If this is a trap, then I will spring it myself." His voice was calm, but his golden eyes burned with curiosity. "They were expecting us, scientist. That means they know something." Moments later, a sleek transport descended from the Tirvas, carrying HFY Tak, Ayla, and a squad of elite Viaduan warriors. As they approached the surface, the city came into sharper focus. It was unnatural. Buildings of impossible height stretched toward the sky, yet there were no aerial defenses. Roads twisted in ways that defied logic, yet traffic flowed smoothly. The air smelled too clean. The gravity felt precise, as if engineered for perfection. And the humans, they were calm. As the Viaduans stepped onto the streets, hundreds of human eyes turned toward them. Not with fear, not with awe, but with quiet acknowledgement. HFY's chest tightened. No species reacted this way to a first encounter. There should have been panic, excitement. But the humans merely observed, as if confirming a long-held expectation. Then a voice called out. "You took your time, Viadan." A lone figure approached. A man, tall, with sharp features and piercing violet eyes. His presence sent a ripple through the air, something beyond physical, something unseen. HFY stepped forward. "Who are you?" The human tilted his head, a slow smile forming. "My name is Varian, and I represent those who remember." "Remember what?" Ayla asked sharply. Varian's smile widened. "The last time you were here." The words struck like a blade. HFY narrowed his gaze. "That is impossible. We ruled this world 500,000 years ago. No record of US should remain. No civilization should have endured that long." Varian clasped his hands behind his back. "Oh, we did not endure." He gestured to the towering structures, the smooth streets, the watching crowds. "We rebuilt." Ayla's breath caught. "You're saying humans survived the Viaduan departure? But how?" "We left no technology behind. No guidance." Varian's expression darkened. "You left something behind, and it changed us." A heavy silence settled over them. HFY's mind raced. What had their ancestors done? What had they left that could have turned a primitive species into this? Varian took a step closer, locking eyes with him. "You came to reclaim your world, Overseer. But this is no longer your world to take." The human raised his hand, and, in an instant, every Viaduan warrior collapsed. Ayla gasped, her body trembling. What is this?" HFY fought to stay upright as an invisible force crushed the air from his lungs. It wasn't gravity. It wasn't energy. It was something deeper, something primal. Power. Varian lowered his hand. The pressure vanished. The warriors gasped for breath, struggling to rise. "Your kind thought yourselves gods when you ruled this world," Varian said, voice low. "But gods do not abandon their creations." HFY clenched his jaw. "What are you?" Varian's violet eyes gleamed. "The result of your mistakes." HFY's blood turned cold. The humans had changed, and now they were the ones in control. HFY clenched his fists, steadying his breath. The humans had done something unnatural, something beyond logic. His warriors, the strongest of the Viaduan, had been brought to their knees without a single weapon fired. Ayla was trembling beside him, scanning their surroundings with wide, disbelieving eyes. "This is impossible," she whispered. Varian took another step forward, his violet eyes gleaming with quiet amusement. "You were expecting primitive creatures, weren't you?" HFY straightened, forcing calm into his voice. "Humanity should not exist at this level of advancement. No species develops this quickly without external interference." Varian's smile didn't waver. "Oh, but we had interference." He turned, gesturing toward the vast cityscape surrounding them. "From you." Ayla inhaled sharply. "That's not possible. We left nothing behind." "Did you?" Varian's tone was almost mocking. "Your kind fled in a panic, leaving Earth in a state of chaos. You thought you took everything with you, but something remained." A heavy silence stretched between them. HFY's mind raced. Their ancestors had left Earth without warning, abandoning the colony in an event so catastrophic that even the records had been lost. Had something been overlooked? "What did we leave behind?" he asked. Varian's expression turned unreadable. "Knowledge. Fragments of your empire buried in the earth, locked away in ruins you forgot even existed. Our ancestors found them. They studied. They adapted. And, eventually, he spread his arms wide. We became something more." HFY's throat tightened. "Your kind evolved unnaturally fast. Because we were forced to. Varian's voice grew quiet, his eyes darkening. You see, Overseer, humanity was not meant to survive your departure. The collapse of your rule should have wiped us from existence. But we endured. And in doing so, we changed. Ayla's voice was hoarse. Changed how? Varian exhaled slowly, as if considering how much to reveal. Then he lifted his hand once more. A nearby street lamp flickered. The air grew thick. A strange, pulsing energy hummed around them. And then, the metal of the street lamp melted, bending unnaturally, shifting like liquid under Varian's will. The Vaeduan warrior stiffened, eyes wide with alarm. Ayla gasped. That's not technology, that's something beyond science. Varian finished. He let the metal reshape itself into a perfect sphere before releasing it, allowing it to hover in place. We call it resonance, the ability to manipulate the fabric of reality itself. HFY stared at the floating sphere, his mind struggling to grasp what he was witnessing. This wasn't mere technological advancement. This was something deeper. Impossible, he said under his breath. No species has ever demonstrated such ability. Not naturally, Varian agreed. But your kind tampered with things they didn't understand. When you left, the remnants of your knowledge took root in us. And over millennia, we grew into something different. Ayla's breathing was uneven. You've become more than organic beings. Varian's violet gaze sharpened. Yes. And that's why you should be very careful about what happens next. HFY forced himself to meet Varian's eyes. Why did you wait for us? Varian's smirk faded. Because we wanted to see what you would do. Would you return as conquerors? As lost rulers? Or would you come seeking answers? The air around them felt heavier. Now that you're here, Varian continued, I need to ask you, Overseer, do you truly believe this is still your world? A slow, terrible realization crept into HFY's bones. Humanity had not just advanced. They had ascended. And they were not afraid. HFY's mind raced. The implications of what Varian had revealed were terrifying. Humanity had become something beyond natural evolution, something beyond even Vaeduan understanding. Ayla's voice trembled. Resonance. You claim it came from us, but no Vaeduan has ever wielded such power. It isn't possible. Varian regarded her for a long moment before turning his gaze to the city around them. Your kind played with forces you did not comprehend. And in your arrogance, you left the consequences behind for us to inherit. The air crackled. A soft hum pulsed beneath their feet, like the planet itself was listening. HFY's voice was tight. Explain. Varian tilted his head. Come with me. There is something you must see. The human turned and began walking, moving with an eerie grace. The Vaeduan hesitated, but HFY gave a short nod, and they followed. They moved through the strange city, past human civilians who did not flee, who did not even react with fear. HFY studied them closely. He saw no weapons, no visible technology. But he felt something else, something unseen, woven into the very air. After several minutes, they arrived at a towering structure of smooth black stone. Ayla's eyes widened. This material, it's not human-made. It's Vaeduan architecture, Varian finished. He placed a hand on the cold surface. This is what you left behind. The moment his fingers touched the stone, the structure responded. A pulse of energy rippled outward, resonating through the city like a heartbeat. The Vaeduan warriors tensed as symbols flickered to life along the walls, ancient glyphs shifting and twisting, forming words lost to time. Ayla gasped. This is a vault. HFY stepped forward, pressing his palm against the structure. It recognized him. The air shimmered, and a hidden doorway melted into existence. Varian watched silently as the Vaeduan entered the forgotten vault. Inside, the walls were lined with consoles, filled with data from an era long past. As Ayla activated the systems, ancient records came to life. Holograms flickered, showing pieces of a terrible truth. The first projection was of a creature, twisted, unnatural, unlike anything HFY had ever seen. Its body pulsed with an eerie glow, its limbs elongated and unnatural. Ayla's breath caught. This isn't a human. This is something else. The hologram shifted, displaying a recorded log. A voice, distorted by time, echoed through the chamber. Experimentation on the native species is proceeding as expected. Genetic acceleration is showing promising results. If the enhancements remain stable, this species may become the perfect hosts for resonance energy. The room went deathly silent. HFY felt his stomach drop. His ancestors had experimented on the early humans. Ayla's voice was barely a whisper. We did this. Varian's face was unreadable. Your kind fled this planet, Overseer, but you did not flee an enemy. You fled the consequences of your own actions. Another recording played. This time, the voice was frantic, terrified. The experiments have changed them. Their minds are evolving too fast. Their bodies are adapting in ways we never predicted. We thought we were creating subordinates. We were wrong. They are becoming something we cannot control. The log cut off. The final image appeared, a grainy hologram of Viaduan ships leaving Earth in a panic, abandoning everything. HFY clenched his jaw. We created the very thing that forced us to leave. Varian turned to him. And now, you have returned, not as rulers, but as strangers to a world that is no longer yours. Ayla's hands were shaking. Resonance energy. It was never meant to be controlled. It chose the humans because we forced it upon them. And now, she trailed off, her voice hollow. Varian finished for her. Now it is part of us. HFY's heart pounded. The humans were not just advanced. They were something else entirely, something the Viaduan had created but could no longer comprehend. The Overseer met Varian's violet gaze, and for the first time since landing on Earth, he felt something unfamiliar. Fear. HFY's throat was dry. The truth had been buried beneath 500,000 years of dust, but now it stood before him. Undeniable and terrifying. The Viaduan had not merely abandoned Earth. They had run from what they had created, a species that had evolved beyond their control. Ayla was trembling, her hands gripping the console as if it could anchor her against the weight of revelation. We were the architects of our own downfall, she whispered. Varian folded his arms, watching them. Tell me, Overseer, he said, his voice quiet but laced with something sharp. Did you think you were the first to return? HFY's gaze snapped to him. What? The human's violet eyes gleamed. Over the centuries, others of your kind have come. Small scouting vessels. Scientists searching for remnants of the past. A few even believed they could reclaim what was lost. HFY inhaled sharply. And what happened to them? Varian's smirk was cold. None of them ever left. Ayla stiffened. You killed them? Varian chuckled. Not in the way you think. They were given a choice. Accept the truth of what they had done, or be consumed by it. The way he said it sent a chill through HFY's bones. You speak in riddles, HFY growled. If you have something to say, say it. Varian stepped forward, stopping mere inches from the Overseer. The air between them crackled. Very well. You see, Overseer, your people never understood the power they tampered with. Resonance isn't just energy. It isn't just an ability. Ayla's breath hitched. Then what is it? Varian tilted his head, a slow, knowing smile spreading across his lips. It is sentient. HFY's body went rigid. That's not possible. Oh, but it is, Varian murmured. Your ancestors tried to harness something far older than themselves. They wanted to control it, shape it. Instead, it adapted to us. He gestured to himself, then to the city. We did not become powerful because we were chosen. We became powerful because we survived the trial your kind forced upon us. Resonance did not destroy us. It made us its own. Ayla's voice was barely above a whisper. You're saying the energy itself lives inside you? Varian exhaled, holding up his hand. The air around it shimmered, warping reality itself. Not just inside me. Inside all of us. RHY mind reeled. This wasn't just evolution. This wasn't just advancement. The humans had become something else entirely. A species merged with an ancient, incomprehensible force. A species that no longer needed technology to wield power. A species that, 500,000 years ago, had been abandoned like helpless children, only to rise as something the Viaduan could no longer face. "You fear us now," Varian said softly. "I see it in your eyes. The understanding that you are no longer the apex. That the gods who once ruled this world are nothing but exiles." RHY's fists clenched. His instincts screamed to deny it, to fight back, to remind this human of who the Viaduan were. But he couldn't, because Varian was right. The humans weren't afraid of them. They had never been afraid. A deep hum resonated through the vault, growing louder. The walls pulsed with light, as if the structure itself was awakening. Varian took a step back, his voice softer now. "You have a choice, Overseer. You can leave, return to your empire, and tell them the truth." His violet gaze darkened. "Or you can stay and learn what your kind tried to destroy." The words hung in the air. A challenge. A warning. Ayla turned to RHY, eyes filled with uncertainty. "What do we do?" RHY's chest tightened. He had led expeditions across countless worlds. He had conquered, negotiated, destroyed. But never had he faced something like this. A species that had defied extinction. A species that had surpassed its creators. A species that was no longer just human. His people had fled once before. Would they do so again? The vault pulsed like a living thing, its ancient walls responding to the presence of its long-lost masters. But the true masters of Earth were no longer the Viaduan. They were the ones who had been abandoned. They were humanity. RHY inhaled sharply, his mind a storm of thoughts. The weight of this moment threatened to crush him. 500,000 years of history had unraveled before him in mere hours, and the truth was undeniable. They had fled Earth, fearing what they had created. Now, they had returned, only to find that humanity had become something beyond them. Ayla's voice was barely a whisper. RHY, we can't win against this. The words tasted bitter, but he knew she was right. This wasn't a war they could fight. Not with weapons. Not with strategy. Varian watched them in silence, his violet eyes gleaming with an emotion RHY couldn't place. Pity? Amusement? No. It was something far worse. Understanding. "You have a choice, Overseer," Varian said again, his voice calm, but filled with power. "Run, as your ancestors did, and tell your people what you've seen." He stepped forward, closing the last of the space between them. "Or stay, learn, and understand what it truly means to be Viaduan." RHY stiffened. "We already understand what it means to be Viaduan." Varian smiled, but it wasn't mocking. It was sad. "No, you don't. Your people abandoned knowledge for fear of what it might bring. You thought you were rulers of the stars, yet you ran from a single planet." The air around them shimmered as if reality itself was bending. "You left us behind," Varian continued. "And we became more than you ever imagined." RHY's fists clenched. "You think this is our failure?" Varian tilted his head. "Isn't it?" Silence. Ayla looked at RHY, her expression filled with something he had never seen from her before. Not fear. Not anger. Doubt. For the first time in his life, RHY felt small. He thought of the Empire waiting beyond the stars, of the High Council expecting his report. What would he tell them? That Earth was lost. That humanity had risen beyond them? That the gods had fallen from their thrones, and the mortals had become something greater? His own people would refuse to believe it. They would return in force, thinking they could reclaim what was once theirs. And they would fail. A deep, shuddering breath escaped him. He turned to Ayla, speaking in their native tongue. "We are not conquerors here." Ayla swallowed hard. "Then what are we?" RHY looked back at Varian. "Students." Varian's smile widened, and for the first time, RHY saw it, the true nature of humanity. They had every reason to hate the Viaduan, every reason to seek vengeance. And yet, they had not wiped them out, because humanity had evolved beyond the need for war. "You've made the right choice," Varian said. The vault pulsed one last time. The walls shifted, revealing passages that had been long sealed. "Come," Varian said, stepping toward the newly revealed corridor. "Let me show you what your people truly feared." RHY hesitated only a moment before following. For the first time in 500,000 years, the Viaduan would not run from the humans. They would learn from them, and the stars would tremble at what came next.